Good afternoon, moms, dads, caregivers. I'm so very excited and happy to be with you today. My name is Lynette Marshall, aka Miss Lynette, that so many people in our community may know me as. I'm actually entering my third year as Nyack Basics Coordinator, working with the Nyack Public School District, which is the only district in Rockland County to present basics as the cradle to career way to prepare every child for life and for learning from the ages of birth to age 3, when 80% of brain development is happening, and those critical years during which development leads to and lays the foundation for all future learning. Before I started as Nyack Basics Coordinator for 21 years, I was an early childhood educator at Riverview Nursery School in Nyack. And my love is early childhood. My passion is being able to affect the development and the readiness of every child for their life. And so being able to work in this capacity with my own school district from which I graduated, from which my children graduated, where my husband serves on the Board of Education, is an honor and a delight. As an early childhood educator, as a 2-year-old teacher, I had the deep pleasure of being the first teacher for so many children, for almost 800 children, I think was the count, the last time I tried to count all of the children that I had taught. And for many children, I happened to be the first person of color outside their family that they had known and with whom they bonded in that sacred place of trust that parents and caregivers create when they choose to send their children to nursery school and place them in an educational setting. And that's something that to this day I take as the ultimate trust, and the ultimate treasure is earning the trust of parents of young children, of babies. So each of you here today has some interest and potentially a trust in being able to access information that will impact the development, the readiness for life of your baby, of your young child. And that's something that, again, continues to be even more important in my estimation, given all of the demands that are placed on you as you educate your children. So many of you at home with older children in addition to your babies and your younger children. The fact that I met Tammy Belcher and came to know her and her work and her passion for Giant Leaps occupational therapy in 2005, I continue to be a huge supporter and proponent of the extraordinary work that Tammy and her therapists do in the lives of children and through Giant Leaps. I was delighted when Tammy reached out to me and gave me this wonderful invitation to be with you today. Part of what we share in common is a deliberate feeling of what happens in the lives of children whose lives we touch. There is a goal or goals for every single child, and every child is unique. Every child is special and amazing and delightful, and we love every child that we teach, every child that we treat. And that there's something also that is an expectation that we have, that there are great expectations that we have for all of your children, for all of our children, that every single one of them will be able to maximize their life and understand who they are as an individual and understand who they are in a group of their peers, because they learn that early on. They learn it first and foremost in your family. I want to tell you for sure who my heroes are. And moms and dads, it's you. You are my heroes because you are doing the most difficult work on earth, bar none. The fact that you, in today's world, are having children, having babies, raising them to understand themselves and love and embrace themselves and be, productive and be deliberate and purposeful. Children who play well and interact well from the time you bring them into the world. You are my heroes, moms and dads. You need to give yourselves a huge amount of credit for all that you do every single day. And that was before our current situation with a pandemic and with the closure of schools and of society and families being home with each other. And again, with different children of different ages and needing different things educationally, and moms and dads, it's you that are bringing all of this together and making it happen every day. And so I say bravo to you, because my children are both in their 20s, and I can't imagine all of the demands and all of the challenges that are part of your lives every single day, with work, with family, with your own wellness. So today I wanted to speak in conjunction with, again, the deliberate, purposeful, amazing work that Tammy and her therapists do through Giant Leaps, and the connection that I have with her over all of these years, and our love for children and for seeing to and being able to impact the readiness of every child that we encounter. I wanted to speak to you about these basics that you may or may not have heard of, but the basics are 5 early engagement principles that every single baby, every single child needs in order to be ready for their life. And I'll be going through those principles over the next 5 weeks, 1 week, each week devoted to one principle. You can find the principles and videos associated with them on NIACBasics.org. And you'll see a toolkit there that has videos in English, Spanish, and Creole. We love being able to offer this basics information and materials in the 3 most prominent languages in the Nyack School District. So I look forward to you checking those videos out, or The Basics Inc. is another opportunity for you to locate what's called the toolkit. And in the toolkit, you'll see videos, you'll see parenting tips, you'll see all kinds of information that can support what you do deliberately and purposefully every day in the lives of your babies and your young children. Of course, there are applications that go beyond the 0 to 3 age range. That is the most critical part of developmentally in every baby and every young child's life. But all of the basics have a lot of carryover into the latter preschool years, into the pre-K year, and into kindergarten and beyond. The 5 principles are: number 1, maximize love, manage stress. Number 2, talk, sing, and point. Number 3, count, group, and compare. Number 4, explore through movement and play. And number 5, read and discuss stories. So when you look at early development, everything has to do with beginning with maximizing love in the lives of our babies, our children, our families, and managing stress. It's something that is a challenge for everyone, especially families where there are babies, young children, older children. But when we look at the idea these days of maximizing love while we're managing stress, it seems to be even more challenging because, again, of all the demands placed on all of us during this pandemic, and moving into what the new normal is going to be, whatever that's going to look and feel like, however that's going to impact our lives as families, our lives as parents and caregivers, grandparents, older siblings, taking care of the youngest children in our lives. There's a lot to be said for when we are speaking about caring for and loving others, about taking care of and loving ourselves first. This is somewhat counterintuitive to me as a mom, and a wife, and I will confess that to you now. It's easier for me to say this, easier than it is for me to actually put it into practice. But my concern and my desire to communicate this to you today is about moms, dads, caregivers. Taking care of you is so essential. It's almost like when you go on a plane, and when they're telling you all the safety regulations, and they speak to the fact that it is most important if the cabin pressure drops, as the pressure in our lives has gone up, if the cabin pressure drops and the oxygen masks drop, you, moms, dads, grown-ups, put on your mask first so that you'll be equipped to take care of those that are younger or those that are disabled or unable to put on their own mask. And so that's kind of what I wanted to speak to in part today. There are different ways in which I, as a mom and a wife, especially when my children were younger, they're at our house now, but being able to have that time for yourself, and that feels and looks so very different today than it did even 6 months ago. But there are different ways for you to do that, and I challenge you, and I, again, as my heroes, I want to be sure that you are taken care of as you look to maximize love and manage stress. It sounds so beautiful, but it's something that is so incredibly imperative. And so as you do that, there are different ways that I myself have carved out that space for myself. When my children were younger, I had developed sort of a not great pattern of waiting until everybody was in bed. And then I could have time for me, time when no one else was going to need me, or when I wasn't going to be asked questions or called on. And it sounds so selfish, but I found out that it's a good thing to be a little selfish, to be a little inward looking when we were talking about care, because self-care is so critical. So I've found ways, and here are a few ways that you might consider for yourself. When you look at the fact that this is something that babies and young children really understand, the value of a good blankie, the value of something that you can wrap yourself in, where you are cozy, where you are warm, where you feel relaxed and safe. And it's something that, again, I can't say enough about the value of a good blankie for even us grown-ups, moms and dads and caregivers. But don't take yours to the grocery store. That might not be such a great look. So a good blankie, a good book, even if you don't read the whole thing, being able to just read a snatch, a few pages here or there, because you can, because you have the time to do that. Even if you don't read a book, a magazine, being able to kind of have an opportunity to read a few paragraphs of adult writing is something that is beautiful and so valuable. When you think about what happens during the day, and the fact that children take a nap, naps are so beautiful. Having lived in Spain and understood the value of siesta, it's a beautiful thing. If you can take a nap, even for 10 minutes, but make that nap count. Sometimes you put on something like this that blocks out the light so that you can really rest for a few precious minutes whenever you can, while your children are resting, while they are having quiet time, and you know they're safe, and then you can have a moment or two to take a rest. Sometimes it's a cup of tea. to sit and to savor, even if you don't drink the whole thing. I know that as parents and caregivers, we probably have 20 cups of unfinished tea or whatever around the house that we have, but to be able to grab a cup of something warm that is enjoyable, that you can carve into and make a part of your day. Being able to even put on hand cream, I think about these days when we're so talking so much about washing our hands and doing it deliberately for at least 20 seconds and making sure that that's part of our whatever we do to guard ourselves and our families, to be able to take a few minutes to put on hand cream and really feel that massage into your hands and into your fingers. It's a moment that you can carve out because it means something, because you're taking care of yourself. So these are all just a few suggestions that I hope make sense to you, and I hope you can incorporate into your daily life or every other day even. But when you look at being able to, when you take a look at some of the videos and you look at Dr. Ron Ferguson, who is the founder of Basics, he speaks to the importance of parents taking care of themselves as well, to be gentle with yourselves, and being able to manage all of that, manage stress, because stress is a part of our lives. As much as we don't like it, it's something that we have to manage, and we can show our children and our babies, our children and our youngest kids, that yes, stress is a part of their lives too, but that when we enter into that management piece, and we can help them manage their stress as well, whether it's the stress that enters into the lives of babies when they're, growing and they're trying to master their world, and they're trying to crawl, and they're trying to roll, and they're trying to do all the things that we expect them to do because we know that that's what they should do, that's what they need to do. And sometimes they need a little help from us to manage that stress. The work that Tammy and her therapists do through Giant Leaps, being able to give that extra support for children who need to be able to master their world, to know their own power, to know that they are strong and capable, but that we can do this as a community because we know and we believe strongly that every child is a lifelong learner. Every child is capable of moving well and of enjoying their world in a sensory way, in an interpersonal way, because they've gotten what they've needed from us as a community. And we've supported your families because that's what communities do, and it does take a village to do that well. In this day where we are facing a pandemic and all of the challenges that we're facing, it's more important than ever. But one important part of all of this that I want to tell you is that babies don't spoil. So taking that time and being able to lavish love and cuddling and caressing and holding babies and young children as long as we can, as long as they fit in our arms and on our laps, is something that we can and should do lavishly. We should lavish love upon them as much as we, as grown-ups, need to have love lavished on each of us. Being able to do that while having that opportunity every day to engage with them on a level that we never thought we would be, again, 6 months ago, 4 months ago even, but being able to do it deliberately on a daily basis is something that helps us get to know each other better. When we're loving our babies, when we're caressing them, hugging them, feeding them, interacting with them, we're getting to know these new little people that we brought into the world, and they're getting to know us as their parents, as their grandparents, as their older siblings, as their people. And it's critical for their development and for their well-being. These days go way too fast, and all of a sudden you're me or someone with children even older than my two kids in their 20s, And being able to do this and having a community that's committed to putting engagement into best practice and readiness into best practice for our children from the time they're born. And I spoke to it earlier, cradle to career. That's what we want to bring into the lives of every one of our children in our community. That's what the work of Tammy Belcher and Giant Leaps Occupational Therapy is about. That's what Basics is all about, that we can bring this work together and support this work as Tammy and I, as friends and who professionally came into each other's lives several years ago. That we can continue this work together is an honor and a delight. I just thank you for being, again, my heroes, for being about the very best for all of our children, for your babies and your young children in particular. I want to choose to make sure that you are choosing time for you today, parents and caregivers, because that is so critical. And I hope that you'll tune in again next Monday when we'll explore Basics Principle number 2, which is talk, sing, and point. I look forward to you taking a look at the videos and other supportive materials that you can access, again, on NIACBasics.org or thebasics.org, because there's a lot of supportive material there, especially as we do find ourselves in this unique setting of being at home with our families in a way that we have not before. So I do hope you'll tune in again next Monday. Until then, I hope that you will be well, be loved, and that you will love well. Thank you so much.